Hey guys!
Alright guys, it's Thursday, Christmas Eve, and we're here to give you guys some gifts. Two videos, two Throwback Thursday videos, both of them Patreon requests, so I'm really not sure if this is going to be a gift or a lump of coal. I've never heard of these bands. I have no clue what we're getting ourselves into. But before we press play, let's give a shout out to the requester. This patron right here asked us to check out a band called The Temple, and the name of the song is Falling. Any idea? Are you going in with any thoughts of what you're getting out of this band, out of this song?
I'd say hardcore.
I was gonna go with punk, just because of the dog.
The
looks
dog,
pissed
yeah.
off. He looks like he's been to a Harm's Way concert and there was karate in the pit.
Yeah.
And somebody stepped on his tail. Actually, you know what he looks like? He looks like that dog that actually got to bang the chick dog under the car on my street when I was a kid and I was watching.
Oh.
Which sounds horrible. It sounds really horrible now. It looks like I'm into like animals doing it. I'm not, but I was curious.
You were curious?
I was a curious kid.
It was National Geographic.
Listen, I was a curious kid. There was no internet back then. If we wanted to see animals in the wild, we had to go to the balcony or to the street or to the back area of my house where there was goats and sheep and all sorts of animals floating around. Not floating, but you know what I mean, like
Frolicking, yeah.
Yeah. Is that even a word?
I think so.
Okay. If it's not, we're gonna go with it anyways. It's
Yeah.
now. It becomes now. All right. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Sounds Portuguese. I love this shit. Portuguese corpa clani. All right. I have a lot of things to say about this. I know
We were both wrong.
well, we were both wrong, but there's no way this is not Portuguese. There's no way this is not a Portuguese band. Like, I'm willing to bet my left testicle.
Do you wanna search it right now?
No, and I'm sure the person on Patreon probably wrote. It's just that, you know, I take the names down of the songs and the bands and the videos and whatever, and then, you know, like, it's been 2 months since I've read the original post, so it's like I don't even remember if the person mentioned if the band is Portuguese or not. But I'm willing to bet there's no that accordion. Come on, that whole sound is Portuguese.
That was really Portuguese.
When I was listening to this, so many bands came to my mind. Like, this is a merger of bands. So there's 2 Portuguese bands that had this sort of sound. Perhaps one more than the other. But one of them is Resistência, which was a band that was made up of members from different bands. And they made like this super group. And what they did was they played each other's songs. So imagine guys from 10 different bands getting together to form a new group. And then they play songs from those 10 different bands, but all acoustic.
Oh.
That was the group, right? Like, that's incredible. So they're doing remakes of their own music, but all acoustic, and now it's like a super group, right? So that kind of reminded me of that, and a band called A&P-REACTS. And A&P-REACTS was a band that mixed a lot of Portuguese folk with a little bit more of a punk, heavier guitar vibe. And they had songs, and most of the songs were like socially driven, like with social messages and politically driven. And they had a song about doing somebody like it was a really misogynistic track, but I absolutely love that song because it was just like, it was so wrong. Like,
It was so wrong that it was right.
yeah, like he would say in the lyrics that he would grab her headlights, you know, like he would use all these metaphors.
Yeah.
It was, I guess it was the only way the song could be played on TV or on the radio.
You can't play it if it's...
Yeah, so you had to use all these metaphors. But I love that track. I love the guitar bite and I love the accordion. So this song kind of reminded me of that. And then mix in a little bit of Radiohead. Because when I was listening to this song, it was like, this is like the Portuguese folk version blend of Radiohead.
Now that you say it, yeah, they do have a Radiohead vibe.
Didn't you feel?
Yeah. They
Karma Police, a little
bit of Karma Police.
There's a little bit of Karma Police in there. Like, not the whole song, but there's certain moments you can feel a little bit of that Radiohead vibe.
I was just vibing the whole time. I mean, I did not expect this at all. And then when we heard that accordion, I'm like, ooh, something I don't hear a lot in metal, other if it's Corpiclani.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't mention Dulce Ponte, because that accordion kind of,
Yeah.
you know, Canção do Mar, like in the video and the song that she did, which is also a remake, has that sound. I know this is not for everybody, and this is definitely not something we normally do on the channel, but maybe it's my Portuguese roots. I can't hate it.
Yeah.
Because I love this. It takes me back to my youth. Because like I said, there was 3 bands that I can think from my youth that kind of had this vibe to me. I mentioned already Resistência, A&P-REACTS, 100%. I think they only released 2 albums. The lead singer passed away, and I think they only released 2 albums. I have both on CD. I have to play with that song. I think it's called... Is it called MILF Barbie? No, that's the Nano War of Steel song.
That's Nano.
But I think there's some Barbie song, whatever.
They were Nano War before Nano War.
They were the Nano Wars. They were the Portuguese Nano War, and then the other band is Iris or Iris, if you want to say it in English. And those bands in Portugal in the early 90s, I was going to say mid 90s. What they did was, I've never heard of this band, but what those bands did was they started to incorporate a lot of Portuguese folk elements
into their music,
into their rock. So the rock had like this heavy folk influence to it.
It was heavy, but it had some uplifting.
Yeah, so it sounded like you're listening to like some folk stuff at like you know, in I don't know, in some
cafe.
Yeah, like you know, they have in Portugal, they love to have these like gatherings, and they play this música pimba, which is like, I don't even know, and there's no such thing as música pimba in any other country but Portugal. I'm 100% sure of that. It's like as redneck, it's beyond country. Like, it's really like redneck shit. So anyways, and people love that shit. So they kind of brought that música pimba that at that point in time in Portugal was dominating. That's all people were listening to. So they brought a little bit of that folk música pimba vibe into the rock and roll and made the rock and roll sound a little bit more palpable. So people who not necessarily would listen to rock and roll would kind of listen to those bands because they were kind of walking that fine line between being like folk
and a rock and roll
and rock and roll.
And they were attracting more people.
Yeah, but then they included a lot of political messages into the mix. So they brought a style of lyrical writing that was really popular before, when Portugal was a dictatorship, and you had to use a lot of metaphors in order to give your political message, because you can talk bad about the government, otherwise you disappear in the middle of the night and nobody would ever find you. So they started incorporating which was called música de intervenção, which means music, intervention music, because it was to intervene against the government. So they started to incorporate that old 60s, 70s style of rock that had that lyrical content with the folk that was the stuff that was happening with música pimba, with their own take on rock and roll. So you have these like three different...
You're bringing in different people.
Yeah, you're bringing these three different worlds colliding together. And they created a sound that I was really a big fan of. Listening to punk and rock and heavy metal at that time, that style wasn't for everybody, but it really resonated with me. And not all the people that listen to metal would listen to those bands. I think actually a lot of people that listen to metal probably didn't listen to those bands, because there was always that thing that, oh, that's not heavy enough. Yeah. I don't give a shit if it's heavy or not. If I like it, I like it. I don't give two shits. Good. Exactly. And so I cannot hate it. I like this shit.
When it started and the
and then it got heavy after.
And then it got I was not expecting it to get heavy. I thought it was just gonna keep going at this vibe. And to be honest, even if it did keep going, I probably still would have enjoyed it.
And the lyrics were very Ramone-like. They keep repeating, and like the lyrics are just going in a loop. I mean, like they wrote like 3 lines and they just repeat the 3 lines over and over again.
To me, it didn't matter what he was saying. I was just vibing with the whole sound and everything. I was just I was taken in by everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was fun. I really enjoyed that. All right, guys. If you survived this, don't go anywhere. There's another video coming right after this one. See you guys.
See ya.